Good morning. Thank you for being with us today. Javier Becerra, Attorney General for the state of California. Nearly 2 months ago, after failing to get funding from Congress or from Mexico to build his border wall, President Donald Trump announced that he would sidestep our democratic process by declaring an unwarranted national emergency. Congress holds the power of the purse, yet President Trump's attempt to buck Congress to build his wall without funding approval is a threat to our democratic institutions. Just this week, Customs and Border Protection, part of the Homeland Security Department, announced that it was moving forward and intends to enter into contracts using funding from a different department, not Department of Homeland Security, but a different department, Department of the Treasury, to begin the construction on this unauthorized border wall. This means that CPB right now may start spending money not appropriated to CPB on contracts, which would lock those monies in. That's why late last night, our coalition of 20 states filed a motion for preliminary injunction requesting that the court block the Trump administration from defying Congress by using money that was never meant to be used for a border wall. Our democracy is successful because our branches of government are co-equal, and that is why it is so important for us to stand up and say no. On President's Day in February, we filed a lawsuit challenging President Trump's attempt to steal funding through the guise of a national emergency. In all, 20 states stand strong together. Last month, Congress, Republicans and Democrats alike, voted to overturn President Trump's unwarranted declaration of emergency. But he still hasn't gotten the message, or he doesn't want to. As President Trump himself said, he didn't have to do this, declare this emergency, but he wanted to do it and do it much faster. We all have a responsibility to fight back as citizens, as elected leaders, and especially here in California, because California and our 20-state coalition now, we have much at stake. President Trump's actions to divert funding to fulfill a vanity project violates our Constitution and our laws. After the government shutdown that President Trump precipitated, Congress approved and the President agreed to $1.375 billion as part of a budget for pedestrian fencing along limited stretches of our southern border. That was done the legal way. That was done the right way. That was done through the congressional appropriations process to get that money for those purposes. But the president couldn't leave well enough alone. On the same day he signed the budget, he ordered federal agencies to illegally divert $6.7 billion additionally from other federal projects for his vanity wall project. Since that time, he has already begun taking concrete steps to move $1.6 billion of that funding meant for other purposes in other departments, and that includes $601 million from the Treasury Forfeiture Fund, moving that to the Department of Homeland Security, of which $242 million has already been reassigned to construction projects. $1 billion as well would be coming from the Department of Defense, appropriated for military personnel and its drug interdiction account, where it will not be used for drug interdiction if it is taken away and used for a border wall, but rather it will be used unconstitutionally and illegally. We're also trying to protect the environment. Natural resources would be imminently harmed by the hasty construction of an unnecessary and unwarranted wall. President Trump says his goal is to protect America. But you have to ask, from what? Any crisis at the border is of President Trump's own making. Whether out of ignorance, cruelty, or a deliberate and self-fulfilling agenda, President Trump's policies exacerbate any issues at our border. Since taking office, he has created chaos for immigrants seeking safety and security. He's done that by separating families, detaining children, and systematically denying those who seek asylum their opportunities under our laws and our Constitution. This week, President Trump announced that he plans to enter into arrangements that would actually terminate funding assistance for the countries that are sending most of these immigrants: Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. The programs that he's putting at risk combat violence and crime. They help reduce poverty and ease hunger. The very reasons why so many of these people are oftentimes forced to migrate, because they fear sometimes for their life, they fear the violence, they fear that they will not have an opportunity to see their children grow up. Cutting the programs that the U.S. provides support for will only create more migration. It is not only tragic, but it will make things worse. Whether it's backwards immigration policies, nonsensical, non-existent negotiation, or hard-handed attempts to circumvent the democratic process, there is a logic lacking from the Trump administration's agenda. President Trump is not above the law, and we will continue to hold him accountable. It is time for us to make it clear that if you want to build something using taxpayer money, you got to get permission the way previous presidents have always done. It's not just the law, it's the Constitution. And today's motion for a preliminary injunction that we file is to make sure that during the pendency of the lawsuit that we have filed against President Trump and his action to try to illegally divert money is necessary to prevent any harm from occurring now. And so we have filed this preliminary injunction. I'll take any questions on this matter, and if time permits,